72% of currently healthy 65-year-old couples will see at least one spouse live to 90s. On the one side, that's a great thing, right? We want to live longer. We want to enjoy life longer. But on the flip side of that, living longer creates this economic possibility of developing a chronic illness. Hey folks, Colin Richards here. I'm president and founder of Lord & Richards, and I am thrilled to be with you once again on this episode of Lord & Richards Radio. And today we're talking about the challenges of chronic illness. And this is part of an extended series on the Lord & Richards Financial Independence Roadmap, or the Lord & Richards Roadmap for short. This is the foundation of the work that we're doing with folks just like you every single day who are looking out into the future, hoping to retire one day, or perhaps today you're already in a place where you no longer have to work, but you're concerned enough that you want to have a plan in place to make sure you never have to go back to work. That's kind of our definition of financial independence at Lord & Richards. And as we work together with you, we do more than just talk about it. We help you implement a written roadmap, a written plan of action. This plan will involve several key areas where it's critical for you to develop a written plan in order to retire financially independent. One of the key areas that we're talking about today is healthcare, and specifically, I'm talking about the kind of healthcare that isn't paid by your insurance. Did you know that you have certain types of illnesses that can occur in your life that no insurance company is going to pay for, and that must come out of your pocket before you get a dime of government assistance through a program we call Medicaid? You say, what kind of illness would cause that to happen? Is it cancer? Is it a heart attack? No, those are typically acute illnesses, but chronic illness that extends over a longer period, typically 90 days or more, is not covered. You see, those are the kinds of debilitating illnesses we usually think of in old age. And it's true, that's when most people experience those. But they can also occur in younger life due to stroke or accidents and injury. So there's a lot of reasons to get in front of what we call chronic illness. Some people call it long-term care, but that's just kind of the name for the kind of solution to chronic illness that a lot of people are seeking. Long-term care insurance can be an expensive route. It is the Cadillac. If you want to cover costs that aren't covered by your normal insurance or won't be covered by Medicaid until you're bankrupt, then long-term care insurance certainly can help. But today, we're going to be talking about really the challenges as well as the solutions to this big problem. And let's start with the challenges. J.P. Morgan has done a comprehensive study on retirement. And in that study, they zeroed in on this area. If you don't know this, healthcare problems or chronic illness is the number one cause of bankruptcy in retirement. That's the last thing we want to have happen to you or to our clients. And so we help you, as part of your Lord & Richards Roadmap, develop a written plan to avoid being bankrupted by this. What have we learned in this important study by J.P. Morgan? Well, first of all, 72% of currently healthy 65-year-old couples will see at least one spouse live to 90s. Wow, that's incredible. On the one side, that's a great thing, right? We want to live longer. We want to enjoy life longer, stay here on planet Earth longer. And you know, at Lord & Richards, we talk about that as a stewardship. Our life is a stewardship of the resources that are entrusted to us by God. So why not want to spend more life doing more good? But on the flip side of that, living longer creates this economic possibility of developing a chronic illness, such as those caused by a stroke or dementia, such as health difficulties that require assistance in performing two of what we call activities of daily living. Those activities can be as simple as things you take for granted every day, like feeding yourself, clothing yourself, getting yourself in and out of the shower or the bathtub. These are activities of daily living that, if impaired, can fall under the title of chronic illness. And so there's a high likelihood that as you and I age into our 80s and especially into our 90s, that we're going to find ourselves unable to perform 2 or more of those activities. Also, if we have cognitive impairment, that qualifies as chronic illness if it's been diagnosed by your doctor as meeting the guidelines. Now, in addition to those who live in their 90s, there is an even more challenging statistic, and that is not quite half, about 44% of couples will see one spouse live to 95. That is incredible. So with advances in healthcare, with advances in medicine, we're seeing people live longer and longer, but that's creating this great economic problem that we need to solve. And here's another statistic that I think will be helpful to you. Most of us, as we're enjoying our working life, I hope you are enjoying it. I hope you're in a career that you love, or if you're a business owner, that you're doing something that you love. Most of us don't really plan on retiring early. Now, some do. Maybe you don't like your work. Maybe you want to get done with it. Maybe you're just ready for rest. But most workers, 64%, expect to retire later, like 65 or older. But only 28% actually do. That's interesting. So we've got a group of people that really wants to work longer, but only about a third of those people actually get to stay at work that long. Most are being forced to retire younger. The actual age typically winds up being 62. And you say, well, great, I can retire early. No problem. Well, the problem is the earlier you retire, unless you have an abundance of resources to meet your retirement budget, that's going to be a challenge to stretch those resources over an even longer period, especially if you're one of the 44% of couples that make it to 95, or one of the 72% of the couples that make it into the 90s. That's 30 years. That's as long as a career typically. Most have this happen because maybe a company downsizes. That's about a third. Another third has it happen because of health. And kind of within that category, about 11% have to retire even though you're healthy, the job's still available, you can do it, but you need to care for your spouse. So I want to discuss in our next segment kind of where this fits into life. Because the connection is, okay, Colin, so you presented me with a big problem. I might retire earlier than planned. My resources might have to be stretched longer than I planned. I might make it into the 90s or to 95 or beyond, and healthcare is really expensive. I get it, Colin. Now I'm ready to understand a little bit more about how we can solve the problem and how this fits into life. Well, at Lord & Richards, this is part of what we call the Financial Independence Roadmap, or the Lord & Richards Roadmap for short. And I would love to talk to you. My team of advisors surround people just like you every single day with care to help you develop a plan so you can retire financially independent without worry. It just starts with a simple phone call.